Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Stella, and if you're just coming across my video for the first time, you're highly welcome. Kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell because I post certain tutorials here and they're super detailed. Okay, so let's jump right into what we have. Now we're going to be making this trending Bubu gown or a kaftan, and here are the fabrics that we're working with. So this is the African print fabric. This is CCR's, but I'm not going to be making use of all of it, and we're going to be making use of this black crepe fabric. And for this particular style, you need your pattern paper because of the neckline. So that's the major reason why we need the pattern paper. So we're going to be making use of all these here. Now let's jump right into the drafting process. So I went ahead to fold my pattern paper into two because you need it folded into two. Now from the edge of the pattern paper, I'll come down by 5 inches. All right, so from your edge you come down by 5 inches and you make a mark there. Now I'll proceed to connect it using a ruler and we will continue. So this is it. I have drawn the marginal line. Now we'll proceed to continue with our drafting. So I'll mark my neck width. I'm making use of 3.5 inches as my neck width, and I'll mark my shoulder width as well. My shoulder is 16, so half of it is 8 inches, and I'll proceed to make a mark at 8 inches. Now we're going to be sloping the shoulder with 1 inch, so I'll go ahead and make a mark at 1 inch shoulder slope. Now the neck depth for the back is 1 inch, so I'll go ahead and connect all these and we will continue. And here we have it. I have connected the back neckline. So I'll proceed to slope the shoulder. Remember that we sloped our shoulder with 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and connect it. But in doing this, just rule a straight line to the end of your pattern paper, just like I have done. So this is it. Now I'll go ahead and mark my front neckline depth. So I want the neckline depth for the front to be 8.5 inches. So this is it. Now I'll go ahead and connect it using a straight line to our neck width of 3.5. And here we have it. So we have marked our neck depth for the front and the back. So let's continue. Now I'll go ahead and measure round the back neckline. All right. So I'll come in with my tape and I have my tape standing up. Okay. So I'll go ahead and measure round the back neckline, and what I have there is 4 inches. Now you need your measurement to be as accurate as possible. So to avoid doubt, I will do it a second time. So I'll simply run my tape round the back neckline alone, and what I have there is 4 inches. Now I need this measurement up as well. So I'll go ahead and measure our neck width of 3.5 inches, and I'll measure it somewhere up here as well. And I'll make a mark there. Now I'll come in with my ruler and I'll connect it using a straight line. So also on this straight line, I will measure that 4 inches that we got. Now at this point, you need a very important measurement, which is your back neckline measurement, and we got it as 4 inches. So on this line where I have my ruler, I'll go ahead and measure that 4 inches that we got. Okay, and this is it. So I will use a broken line to connect it. Now if I wasn't drafting for tutorial purpose, I would have used a pencil, and afterwards I'll clean it because we don't actually need this line. It's just a guide. So this is it. We have our 4 inches mark there. Now away from this line, I will go ahead and measure 1.25 inches. All right. So I'll go ahead and make a mark at 1.25 inches right here, and I'll come in with my ruler. So placing it on the neck width of 3.5 and touching that 1.25 inches mark that I have there, I will also measure our neck round that we got on the back, which is 4 inches. So I will also measure it there. Remember, the most important measurement you need at this stage is your back neck round measurement, and we got it as 4 inches. So I will go ahead and place my tape there, and I'll make a mark at 4 inches on this our new line. Now I will go ahead and just leave it the way it is. Now we need the line to be slanted upwards. So in order to avoid doubt, I will come in with my pattern master. So at this stage, this our broken line, we don't need it anymore. Remember I said that is just a guide. So if I wasn't drafting, I would have cleaned it off right now, but I have striked it out, so we don't need this line anymore. Just pretend that it's not there. Okay, so I decided to zoom it in. Now I'll come in with my pattern master. So if you have a pattern master, it has a protractor. Now we're going to make use of the angle 90 on the protractor. So I'll go ahead and place the pattern master this way, resting on our neck width of 3.5, touching the 4 inches mark that we have up here. All right, now wherever your 90 your angle 90 is pointing, just go ahead and make a mark at that spot, because that is the line of your slant. Okay, so this is it. I have my points indicated. Now I will go ahead and just connect it. So instead of just telling you to slant your line upwards, this is a more defined way of you getting your slant line. Okay, now I'll go ahead and reconnect all our measurements, and this is it. We are almost done with the neckline. So this is the only technical part that if you don't understand, you can just rewind it so that you will see what I did there. Now for the collar width, I want the width of the collar to be 1.75 inches. You can make yours 2 inches, but I just want it at 1.75 inches, and this is it. So I will go ahead and connect it down to our neck depth of 8.5 inches, which is our front neckline depth. So I'll come in with my ruler this way, and I will just draw a straight line to the front neckline depth. And this is it. We are done with the neckline. Is that simple? So I'll do a quick recap of what I've done so far. Now I marked a neck width of 3.5 inches, and I came down by 1 inch for the back neckline depth, marked my shoulder width of 8 inches, sloped it by 1 inch, and I simply connected a straight line to the end of the pattern paper. Now I marked my neck depth of 8.5 inches for the front, and I connected it. So I went ahead to measure the back neckline depth, and I got 4 inches, and I also marked my neck width of 3.5 upwards, and I just drew a straight line, which I told us to ignore because we simply used it as a guide. Now, away from that line, I marked 1.25 inches, and I connected it to our neck width of 3.5. Now, on that same line, I also marked our 4 inches that we got as our back neckline, and we used our protractor to slant this line, which I explained in details how to do that. Then I marked the collar width of 1.75 inches, and I connected it back to the front neckline depth. So this is it. This is all that we did. Now I'll go ahead and mark the rest of the vertical measurements. So we need to mark our chest line. Now to get your chest line, you're simply going to divide your bust round by 6, and you add 1.5. We're working with a bust round of 40, so 40 inches divided by 6 plus 1.5 will give us 8.1 inches, and we're adding our 1 inch shoulder slope, and we have 9.1 inches. So I'll go ahead and make a mark here. I'll repeat it somewhere here as well so that I can get a straight line, and I'll proceed to connect it. So this is my chest line, and I'll simply label it as CH. So this is the chest line. Now I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder to waist measurement. So I have my tape placed on the 5 inches marginal line, and I'll measure down to 17 inches, which is my waist length. All right. Now I will be adding extra 3 inches to this because I want the length to be 20 inches. But my pattern paper will not accommodate 20 inches. So I will just mark 19 inches here. Now when it's time to transfer it to the fabric, I will add the extra 1 inch. So I'm ruling at 19 inches. So this is it. Now I'll label this line as my waist line, and I'll just call it W. Okay, so this is it. You remember I want the length to be 20 inches, which is from my shoulder to the waist, but my pattern paper is not up to 20, so I have 19 inches marked here. Now I'll go ahead and extend all these lines. So I'm simply extending the chest line and the waistline out so that we can proceed to cut out. So this is it. I'm done with the extension. I'll go back and fold the paper again. Now I will cut out. Yeah. And here we have it. So I have cut it out. Now I'll go ahead and open it up this way, and this is it. So we are done with the drafting. The next thing that we need to do is the neckline design. Now, at this point is entirely your choice and your creativity as well. So I'm going to just show us how I came about my own neckline design. Now, from this side, I will go ahead and mark 4 inches. Now it can be 3.5 or 4 inches. It depends on how wide you want yours to be, but I want mine to be 4 inches. Next, I will go ahead and highlight the center of the pattern paper. So this is it. I just highlighted the midpoint of the pattern paper. Now you remember I came out by 4 inches on the neckline. Now from this center line that I just drew, I'll also mark the 4 inches. Okay, so now I'll come here with my long ruler and I will go ahead and connect it this way. So I have it placed on the 2 4 inches mark that we just did. All right, now I'll come down by 15 inches from this top part. So I'll go ahead and measure 15 inches and I'll make a mark there. So I will draw a straight line that will stop exactly at the 15 inches mark. And this is it. So moving on, I'll go ahead and measure my shoulder width, which is 8 inches. So I'll measure it there. Now, from this center line, I will mark 1.5 inches away from it. I'll repeat this somewhere here as well. Then I'll connect it using a broken line so that we can know the line that is the midpoint and the new line. So this is it. Now, I will go ahead and mark 4.5 inches away from the broken line that we just marked there. And I'll come in with my ruler to connect the shoulder width of 8 inches and the 4.5 inches. Now, I'll do this using a broken line because I'll still alter this again. Now, I'll go ahead and connect this side using a slant line this way. So this is it for this side. Now we're also going to go up from here by 2 inches and I'll also connect it using a slant line as well. So this is it. Now I will slope this line by 1 inch. So I just marked 1 inch down. Now I'll go ahead and connect it to our neckline depth of 8.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect it using a straight line, and this is it. Now, to finish the design, I will mark 1.5 inches this way. So I'll just mark it up. Now, a guide, if you actually measure what you have on this other side of the neckline, what you have there is 1.5 inches. So you can as well just draw a straight line up. All right, so this is it. My neckline design is ready. If you want to replicate it and you follow all these measurements, you will have the same result. So this is it. I am done. Now at this stage, I'll go ahead and trace this out on a fresh pattern paper. Okay, before we'll make use of this. So now let's look at the fabric. Now, if you remember, before I started drafting, on the front, I came down by 5 inches. So whatever your actual gown length is, you need to add that 5 inches to it. If you don't, the fabric is going to be shorter when you cut it. So what I will do now, the actual gown length is 59 inches. So I'm adding 2 inches hemming allowance to that, giving us a total of 61 inches. Now 61 inches is what I will cut for the back. But for the front, I will add that 5 inches that we came down before we started drafting. So it will be 61 plus 5 inches. That will give us 66 inches. So what this simply means is that I'll cut 2 pieces. One will be 61 inches for the back and one will be 66 inches for the front. And here we have it. So this is the 61 inches and this is for the back. So I'll keep it aside for the back. Now this is the fabric for the front. Actual gown length of 59 plus 2 inches hemming allowance plus the 5 inches marginal line, giving us a total of 66 inches. Now I also added extra 1 inch just so that we can have a fresh margin for joining of the shoulder as well. Now I'll go ahead and just draw my marginal line of 0.75, or you can make it 1 inch, and I'll connect it this way. So you need to draw this marginal line first before you come in with your pattern paper. So I'll come in with the pattern paper. Now for you to align it, go ahead and place it on the folded side of the fabric, but you need to ensure that the collar is touching your marginal line this way. So you can see the collar is resting on the marginal line that I just drew. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add all my allowances. So I have it already added. I've added ½ inch on the shoulder slope, on the collar, and around the neckline as well. So this is it. Now let's proceed with the rest of the vertical measurements. So now at this point, we can no longer get a straight line. So since my chest line is 9.1 inches, I'll place my tape on that 9.1 inches and I'll measure the rest of the vertical measurements. So with my tape on my chest line, which is 9.1 inches, I'll measure to my hip length, and my hip length is 26 inches. So I'll go ahead and make a mark at 26 inches, which is my hip length. And I'll also repeat it somewhere here so that I can get a straight line. And this is it. Now, with my tape still on the chest line, which is 9.1 inches, I will measure down to the full length of the gown, which is 59 inches. So I'll go ahead and make a mark at 59 inches this way. Now I will also add 2 inches, which is my hemming allowance. Now I'll repeat it here as well. So I have my tape on the chest line, which is 9.1 inches. I'll go ahead and mark the full length of the gown plus 2 inches hemming allowance. So I'll proceed to extend these lines outward. Then we will continue. So let's mark our round measurements. Now I'm working with a hip round of 46. 46 inches divided by 4 will give us 11.5, and I'm adding 4 inches allowance to this. Now 3 inches is my ease and 1 inch is my side seam allowance. So that's how the 4 inches. Okay, so this is it. What I have there in total is 15.5 inches, which is 11.5 inches plus my 4 inches allowance. Now I'll go ahead and mark 15.5 inches on the hemline of the gown. So I will go ahead and mark it this way. Now I'm also adding 2 inches allowance to this because I want a little bit of freedom so that my client will be able to move. Now if you don't want it, you can simply just repeat what you have on your hip line on the hem, then you connect it using a straight line. But you may need to add a little slit so that you'll be able to walk. But I just added 2 inches. Okay, and I have connected it using a straight line. So this is it. We are done with the lower part. Now let's move over to the top part. So I want my sleeve opening to be 12 inches. So I will go ahead and measure 12 inches here. Now, out of these 12 inches, I will still make use of 1 inch to join the side. So eventually we'll be left with sleeve opening of 11 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect it. But much later, I still extended the sleeve round to touch the edge of the fabric. So for now, this is what I just did. So I'll go ahead and take off the pattern paper so that we can finish up our marking. So this is what we have now. So I'll go ahead and remeasure my hip round. So what I have there is 15.5 inches. Now I'll proceed to mark it upwards as well. So I will mark my 15.5 inches on that line where our sleeve round is stopping, and I will just square that line. So this is it. And I'll go ahead and use a straight line also to connect to that point. Now at this intercept, I will come out by 1 inch and I'll come down by 1.5 inches. So I will just draw a slight curve to connect that point because it's not supposed to be straight. And this is it. I have connected it. Now you will need to slant your sleeve by 1 inch. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just slant it. So this is it. Now for the length of the sleeve, I would like to make use of the entire fabric. So I'll simply extend my shoulder slope to touch the edge of the fabric. Okay, so I'll go ahead and repeat the same thing also at this lower part as well. Now I'll come in with my ruler and I'll extend it. All right, now if you don't want to make use of the entire fabric, you can actually make use of your own desired sleeve length, but I just decided to exhaust the fabric width. Now I still slanted it by 1 inch. So the essence of the slanting is so that your sleeve can actually rest well. I like the outcome when I slant my sleeve by 1 inch. So this is it. We are done. Now I'll proceed to cut it out. And here we have it. So I have cut out the front. Now I'll come in with the fabric for the back and we will continue. And here we have it. So this is the fabric for the back. Now, just like we did on the front, I'll go ahead and draw my marginal line. So from the edge of the fabric, I'll also come down by 1/2 inch and I'll connect it using a straight line. Now, this marginal line is super important before you do any other marking on this. Now, I'll go ahead and mark my neck width of 3.5 inches. So I'll make a mark at 3.5 inches there, and I'll also mark the neckline depth of 1 inch. You remember we did the same thing when we were drafting on the pattern paper. So I will go ahead and connect it. So I have a neck width of 3.5 inches and I have a neck depth of 1 inch. Now I'll proceed to connect it using my curve and we will measure it. So you remember when we drafted, we got our measurement to be 4 inches. Now I'll proceed to measure it again to be sure, because you need your measurement to be accurate. And I got 4 inches as well. So this is it. Now I'll go ahead and cut it out. Yeah. So I've cut out the back neckline. Now I'll come in with the front fabric so that we can place it on the back. So I'll go ahead and place the front on it. But in doing this, you will need to ensure that the front is resting on the 1/2 inch marginal line that we drew on the back fabric. So this is it. Now you need the collar to rest on the marginal line like this. Just pay attention to the direction of my hand, so you can see where the collar is resting. It's resting on that 1/2 inch marginal line that we have there. So this is it. Now I'll go ahead and cut this out. So apart from the neckline area, the rest of the body is the same thing. So I'll proceed to cut. Now pay attention to the way I'm cutting. Now towards the end, I'll raise the front up. So I have cut out the neckline area. Now I'll go ahead and cut the rest of the body, and they are the same. Yeah. And this is it. So we are almost done. Now I would like this gown to have a pocket. So from the neckline, I'll go ahead and measure down to 18 inches. So that's the length of my pocket. Now I will just make a mark towards the side and I will notch both the front and the back fabric together at that 18 inches mark. Now the width of my pocket is 7 inches. So I will do the notching when it's time to join the fabric. So this is it. We are almost done. Now let me separate it so that we can see the front and the back neckline, what it looks like before we move over to the next thing. So this is it. So you can see the back neckline. We didn't do much alteration on the back. The main attention is just on the front. So I'll come in with our pattern so that we can look at the neckline. So here's the pattern. I went ahead to trace it out. I traced out the neckline design on another pattern paper like I mentioned, and I added that extra 3 inches. So the length here, I increased the length by 3 inches because I wanted it longer. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place it on our main pattern. So this is it. Now, the only difference here is that I increased the length by 3 inches. Okay, now I'll come in with our crepe fabric. So the first thing I did on the crepe is that I interfaced it and the interfacing gave it more stability. So I'll go ahead and place our neckline pattern on it. So I'll pin it down and I'll go ahead and add 1/2 inch all round. And here we have it. I have added my 1/2 inch all round, as you can see. Now I will use my pressing iron to fold the edges. So I'll go ahead and fold it in. It's a lot easier when you do this using your pressing iron. So I'll fold it all around using my pressing iron, and here we have it. So I have the edges folded. Now I've gone ahead to place it on the neckline. Now we will need to use it. So we're using the facing to turn the neckline. Now I'll go ahead and place the right side of the facing will face the wrong side of the fashion fabric. All right, this way. Now I'll go ahead and stitch round the neckline using 1/2 inch. Afterwards, I will notch it, then I'll flip it to the right side, and this is it. So I have turned the neckline using the facing, and I also top stitched it. Now top stitching at this point will actually help you because the neckline will relax better when you top stitch. So this is it. Now we'll go ahead and join the collar using 1/2 inch. You remember I added 1/2 inch when I transferred it to the fabric. So I'll go ahead and join them together using 1/2 inch, and I will press it down. I will also iron down the rest of the neckline design using hemming gum. So here we have it. I have pressed it down using my hemming gum. I also top stitched it. So you can see the collar. I have joined it like I said, and I pressed it flat. Now pressing at this stage is crucial. So this is it. Now let me turn it to the wrong side. So you can see the wrong side. You can see how clean the neckline is. Now I'll come in with the back piece as well because it's time for us to join. So I'll go ahead and place it right sides facing each other. So the right side of the front and the right side of the back are facing each other now. So we'll go ahead and join starting from the shoulder. So to join this, you need to start from your shoulder. Now you're starting from the sleeve round. Okay, so you join from the down of the shoulder slope up. Now the reason for joining this way is because you're supposed to have 1/2 inch excess on the back. Okay, if your back and the front is equal on the shoulder, then something is wrong. You're supposed to have an excess of 1/2 inch around your back. So I'll go ahead and join it. I'll join the two shoulder slopes. Then so this is what we have. Okay, so I have joined it. Now this joining part of the neckline is actually another technical part that you need to pay attention to. So I'll take us step by step. So I'll first join the shoulder slope. Now I cut out this piece of Ashoke fabric. Now I'll use it to finish up the sleeve round. Okay, so the width is 3.5 inches. So by the time I use 1/2 inch to join, I'll be left with 3 inches. Now I'll use it to turn the round sleeve, and here we have it. So I have joined the slope. I've also joined our Ashoke fabric this way. Now I'll go ahead and flip it inwards because I don't want it out. So I just want the reflection from the wrong side of the fabric. Now let's move over to the neckline. So like I explained, I have joined the shoulder. Now I have joined the shoulder slope. So if you pay attention, you can see the excess 1/2 inch that I was talking about from the back fabric. Now to finish that up, I will turn it to the wrong side this way, and I will continue with this stitch. So end of the day, you're having a straight stitch that will run round. Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish up the neckline, and I'll join the sides using 1 inch. I'll also hem the lower part, and here we have it. So I'm done with it. Now this is a beautiful gown. I love the colors. I love the neat finishing. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.
Yeah.